Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome, everybody, to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by the Hockey Think Tank. You place for all passionate players, parents, and coaches to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. What an episode we have for you guys here today, guys. This is episode 400 of the Hockey Think Tank podcast, episode 400 of our main episode. So we've been doing this for 400 weeks now, which is absolutely insane, not counting the short shifts and the Friday face-offs that we do every week as well. So, man, 400. We've survived it, Jeffrey J. Hulavecchio. And boy, do we have a guest for you today. We have my former teammate in youth hockey. And, guys, I'm telling you, when I say we have the story of all stories, the best story that's ever been told on the Hockey Think Tank podcast, and it's not even close, not even close. This is just a phenomenal episode with one of my former teammates turned NHL hockey player, Mikey Brown. Mikey grew up in the Chicago area. He played for the National Development Program, went on to the University of Michigan, and played over 400 games in the NHL, and he did it the hard way. He did it the absolute hard way. This is a guy that is built like a Mack truck. This is a guy that has all the life skills we talk about every week on the podcast, the resilience, the commitment. Like, this guy is one of one, and there are so many nuggets that you can take from this. Every youth hockey player ever should listen to this podcast here with Brownie today. So just a phenomenal guy, phenomenal conversation here. But before we do get over to Brownie, let's bring on the talent of the podcast, Jeffrey J. Hulavecchio. Vex, what's up, my man?
Not much, man. What a great pod that we're going to get to, but just thought I would tell a quick short story about myself here. Today was my second day back on the ice coaching. I'm coaching once a week for a team that I'm the strength coach for, Maryville University. So ACHA D1 team here in St. Louis. I've been their strength coach for, I think this is the 5th or 6th season. So I'm going on the ice once a week. And at the end of the practice, I won't lie to you, I went to yell at the boys and I sharted. Not a big shart. Not a huge shart. Did you not know where I was going with that? No, that's not what you thought was going to happen.
I thought you were going to talk about like winning a breakaway competition or something.
No, actually, I went 6 for 8 last week on B-Ways in between drills. Today we had a shootout, and I went post, bar, and out. I was 0 for 2. I was not happy. That was pre-shart. I sharted right after and got off the ice real quickly. You know, we tell a lot of stories about me scoring goals on here and stuff, so I just thought I'd tell you guys something bad/funny that happened to me, and we tell it like it is here on the Hockey Think Tank podcast. And today I sharted on the ice as a coach. So good second week back.
Oh my God! No, I did not. That was a table turner. That I did not see coming. I'm not gonna lie.
Are we not in the trust tree with the nest? I thought we were in the trust tree here at Hockey Think Tank podcast.
Speaking of, I already said it, guys, but legitimately the best story you will ever hear on a podcast ever. Is coming up in this episode.
How have we not heard this story before? Like, just through the grapevine, because it's so unique.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I know some of the scouts that were in that room, and it's an NHL draft story. It's like Brownie got like, oh my God, it was. Electric. There were a lot of great stories. I remember, like, we always kind of think about, some of the things that our guests will say, and we'll be like, oh, like that would be a really good clip on social media for all kids to hear, or for all parents to hear, or whatever like that. I feel like there were like 15 of them in this episode alone. And Brownie's truly one-on-one, guys. And if you have listened to our podcast for a long time, you've probably heard the story of Mikey Brown being on the ice in a one-on-one tryout to make a team. He was the last player picked for our national championship team. in Chicago in the year 2000, and he is the only one to make the NHL. I think that's one of the biggest things for all the kids that are listening and all the parents that are listening that are being told that your kid needs to be X, Y, or Z by the time they're like 10, 12 years old or whatever it may be. Like Mikey Brown was the last player picked on our team at 14, and he's the only one to make the NHL. He's the one that made it the furthest. And so like that's why we're so big on life skills, because life skills is the true separator once you go from level to level to level and you get older and you get older and get older. And man, Brownie, you'll hear it on this podcast, but like he is just as driven, as passionate, as resilient, as just like I know what my goal is, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that I get there. And yeah, man. But that draft story is like honestly maybe the best hockey story ever told on any hockey podcast ever.
Yeah, you guys are going to love this story. I don't think it happens till towards the end of the podcast too, like right way at the end, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure when in the podcast, but oh my god,
yeah, that's
amazing.
Cool.
Well, I am here, if you could tell, not with microphone, not Mike Brown, but I am in Nashville for the USA Hockey Annual Congress. So got the chance to say hello and just reconnect with a lot of great hockey people down here, a lot of guests that we've had on the podcast. One of them, Bob Mancini, who's been great for us and to us on the podcast, one of the head hockey development guys at USA Hockey. And they rolled out the new development league, which is the new tier 1 league that the USA Hockey is rolling out, and it's being voted on. We're Friday right now. It's being voted on Sunday. So that's going to certainly change the tier 1 landscape. We'll talk about that at some point on a future episode, if and potentially when it gets ratified and passed by the USA Hockey Congress here on Sunday. So that's been kind of the talk of the town here in Nashville, has been that development league. Bob did a great job today, just answering a lot of questions. There's a lot of things that people like about it. There's a lot of things that people don't like about it, and we'll dive into it at some point down the road. But man, one of the biggest things is there's just so many good people in hockey, dude. There's just so many good people in hockey, and it's been so cool to just reconnect with so many people I haven't seen in a long time. And just it's another reminder. We talk a lot about the good things in the game. We talk a lot about the ills of the game. The one thing that I think is awesome is the amount of good people severely outweighs the amount of not so good people in our game. And none of that is more evident than being down here. It's really cool seeing all these volunteers that dedicate so much of their time and effort and sacrifice a lot to make the game better in their areas. And just hockey is the best, man. Absolute best.
So cool, dude. So cool. Bobby. I love Bob Mancini. What a great guy. What a great guy.
So with that, guys, I don't want to waste any more time. Let's get over to Brownie. Do have to thank our people who support us first. First of all, Ice Hockey Systems, the best website out there for all your coaching education needs. They got thousands of drills, whiteboard explanations from unbelievable hockey minds, great content for coach education, but not just coach education anymore. They got family accounts, so you can get unbelievable information. If you're a hockey parent that's new to the game, if you're a hockey parent that wants to know a little bit more about the game, or for kids, so much great content for the kids there too. And they have the ability for coaches anyway too, to go in and drop your drills, create a library, get this for every single coach within your organization, guys. Ice Hockey Systems, I cannot understate enough how much of a positive impact that this place has had on the game of hockey. Like, I was talking to them the other day, over 1.1 million unique users has used this site in the past year, 2025. That's 1.1 million people that went to the site. It's just a phenomenal site to go to better your hockey knowledge, or to figure out a little bit about how to support your kid in the game if you're a parent. So guys, go to icehockeysystems.com today and check it out. It's amazing. Bex, you're up.
Unreal. 1.1 million. How cool. Congrats, guys. Want to say a big thank you to Train Heroic. You guys know Train Heroic, talk about them every episode. They're the amazing platform that allows me to work with so many hockey players all around the world year round, whether it's in-season programming for your team or your organization, or you just want to sign up for my in-season workouts that anybody can do, you can. Or if you want dedicated team workouts based off of your practice, game, and travel schedule. I work with NCAA D1 teams, NCAA D3 teams, USHL, NOL, EHL, NA3HL, all the way down to little kids teams. So anybody who wants to work with me, please just reach out. Okay. I do everything I can to work with everybody. And this is just a way for me to deliver quality training at an extremely, extremely cheap and affordable price. So thank you to Train Heroic for making that happen.
There we go. Boom. Also want to thank Helios Hockey, one of the best hockey products out there on the market. It is a sensor that you put into your shoulder pad, and it gives you real-time data and feedback on your development as a hockey player. The biggest things from a development standpoint, number one, is a hustle score. The kids absolutely have fun and love this hustle score. We just had somebody from Helios Hockey on a previous Friday face-off over the last month, and they told us about all the incredible new things they're doing with that hustle score. And, when you go on the ice, that thing lights up, that sensor, and it can show you kind of how fast you're skating, your stride. It can show you, your hustle score. How hard you going out there. And also, like I said, it's great for development from a skating perspective as well. So the absolute kicker, though, is this is a product that syncs up with whatever video you're using. And you get your shifts for a game or your reps in practice cut up for you directly after that event. So imagine being done with your game, being on the ride home, you got it on your iPhone, boom, it's right in your app. You can watch all the shifts from your game. Unbelievable tool. So go to helioshockey.com today and use the coupon code ThinkTank, one word, and you will get a 20% discount on your Pro Annual or your Pro 24-month subscription. helioshockey.com. Awesome stuff. Also want to thank Crossbar. Crossbar is an end-to-end software solution that helps you streamline all the operations of your youth hockey organization. If you are a president, if you are on a board, if you are a hockey director of any youth organization, this is an absolute game changer to help make your life so much easier. So what are the things that they have? Number one, an incredibly easy to use website on the front end and an incredibly easy to use software on the back end with their website and their app. They have unbelievable scheduling. You can schedule things like your entire season or little things like drop-ins and just pop-up clinics, unbelievable tools for financial reporting, unbelievable tools for facility management, a 5-star communications app so you can communicate with your families. Crossbar is an unbelievable thing in the youth hockey world, can really, really help your leadership group of your youth hockey organization. So go to crossbar.org and check that out. And lastly, Vex, I'm going to put you on the spot here. This is episode 400. I want you to say thank you to all of our amazing listeners. 400 episodes in, over 7 years in. Dude, what do you got to say, brother?
I mean, guys, 400 episodes. It's wild. It's wild. I know we've talked about it a few different times throughout this 7-year journey here, but, this all started Toph just being like, hey, man, I want to start a podcast. Actually, I think he said, hey, I got something crazy to ask you. Give me a call when you get a second. It was a text, and I called him back, and he's like, I want to start a podcast. I want to do it with you. Do you think you'd want to do it? And I was like, yep, I'm in. Didn't know what it was about. Only one I'd ever watched was Joe Rogan while I cooked dinner over in Europe every night. I no idea what we were doing, and we ripped. And here we are now, 7 years later, 400 main episodes in, and probably, 100 of the shorter episodes. I'd have to at least guess we've done at least 100 of those, and
probably
at least. Yeah, probably like 7 times that, whatever. It's just part of our life, guys. But, we're just so grateful that we're able to help you guys or make you laugh from our short stories or anything that we're talking about here on this podcast. All we're trying to do is inject some good into the hockey world because it's given us the awesome lives that we've had. So we're so happy you're here for the ride. We're happy to get you thinking. We're happy to, just try and make this game better and leave it better than we found it. So we appreciate all you guys for sticking with us and for sharing us. Obviously, we're trying to grow this thing as much as we can and be a bright shining light here in this hockey world. So we love you guys, and thank you for coming back and your support.
There we go. And without further ado, one of my favorite episodes of all time that we've done. Here we go with Mikey Brown. We are so excited to have on this episode of the podcast, the 400th episode of the podcast, a guy that Vex and I go way, way, way back with, one of my favorite people in the hockey world. We got Mikey Brown on the podcast today. Brownie, how we doing today, my man?
Fellas, amazing. This is awesome. So excited. Let's do this.
So are we, man. So are we. Well, there are so many things that we can talk about, man. Like, and we've told some stories about you on the podcast, just your grit, determination, resilience. And it'll be really cool to kind of get your side of the story on some of that stuff. But typically when we have people on, we want to ask you first and foremost, growing up in beautiful Chicago, actually Northbrook, right to the north of Chicago. How did you fall in love with this great game of hockey?
Well, actually, it was Skokie before Northbrook, and the way it happened was it was roller hockey before. So my brother, I mean, we were always active. My family, me and my brother, we were real active. I mean, you know my brother Danny. He brought home a flyer in Skokie that was a learn to skate on the ice, and we were really good roller hockey players. We always played at Devonshire, just in the parking lot and stuff, and we ended up going on the ice at the stadium first time on blades. And the only thing I remember was I think my mom and dad were there, and they're like, "You better go as fast as you can. You better show him, because if you do a good job, then he's going to put you in the program, and you're going to learn to play hockey and all this stuff." And so I remember putting the skates on. Me and my brother, same time, we put the skates on. We had jeans on, like jeans and a sweater on, and we jump on the ice, and we just went full speed straight to the other end of the ice and smashed the boards. Fell down. We got straight back up. Same thing, full speed straight to the other end. Smash the boards. The guy's like, "All right, stop." It's Steve Glickman. He's like, "All right, stop. Enough. We'll put him in a class." So we got off the ice. We ended up getting into a class.
So they loosely, put Luis Mendoza in D2 as Mike and Danny Brown.
Man, you say that again.
and also, it's kind of how you played too. So nothing changed from your first skate to your last NHL game.
Ricky Bobby, man, you're not first, you're last, baby.
Nothing. Yes, that's the motto right there. Full speed, one gear. That's it.
Well, we got to get. I mean, there's so much to talk about, but we just heard a story from you that we got to talk about. You actually signed your first contract at 6 years old. Which, a lot of people in youth hockey feel like that is actually kind of how it works. You sign contracts at 6 years old. As soon as you get out of diapers, it's crazy. But you talk about you sign with an agent. What a cool story. Just tell our listeners a little bit about signing your agent contract at 6.
Yeah, so it's funny. We were talking about who I was, who I worked with, and all that stuff. And my agent, Neil Abbott, his big guy was Jeremy Roenick. My dad owning a Harley dealership in Chicago, got to know all the Blackhawks and all the surrounding, sports, Bulls, Bears, all that stuff. So we had a lot of those guys in our suite, my dad's suite, at all the games. And Neil Abbott, who was in the suite, saw me and my brother obviously running around reckless at the United Center. He brought out a napkin and said, it's kind of a joke, but here's a napkin. If you ever make it to the NHL, sign this and I'll be your agent. And I signed it. And little do you know, I make it to the NHL. We signed a contract together. He was my agent the whole time. Awesome guy, the best. And he still owns the napkin to the day he showed me it. Incredible.
That is so cool. What a story.
He's like, I got Jeremy Roenick. I got this guy, Mike Brown's first contract on a napkin.
Yeah.
Like, that's so awesome.
I gotta actually get that. I gotta frame that.
Oh, so cool, man. Just those stories are just, you look back at your career and it's just like, it's why hockey is so amazing. Just little stories like that put a smile on people's faces. And I want to get into Brownie. So Vex and I talk about Stan a lot here. We talk about Stan. We talk about the Bantam National Championship team that we had. And I want to tell a little bit of a story to everybody here and get your take on it. So Stan did things a lot differently than every other coach that you and I have ever had or will have. Yeah. And, crazy Russian guy from straight off the boat from Russia, a disciple of Anatoly Tarasov, who's kind of like the father of Russian hockey back in the day. And so we did a lot of kind of crazy things, but the probably craziest thing that he did that still has an impact on me and I know has an impact on you was tryouts. Going back to tryouts, and this is just I think such a great story for all kids to hear. So we do a tryout, we're U14 Bantam Major, and
two teams kind of combined. Our team was kind of like the Bad News Bears Team Illinois at the time, not very good, but because Stan was such a great coach, we competed. CYA was kind of like, had a lot of the talent and everything like that. And then we kind of combined. And so with that, we had a tryout. And at the tryout, after the first 2 days, Stan, the head coach, picks the entire team except for one player. And he would probably get sued for doing this nowadays.
I remember this clearly. Just for the record, I do remember this clearly.
Yeah. And so, he picks the entire team except for one spot. And for the last and third tryout, everybody who had made the team didn't have to go on the ice for tryout. And he had two people, Mike Brown and one other guy.
I think they were actually, you guys were on the other side of the ice, just doing regular practice on the other half of the ice.
I think for maybe a little bit of it, but I have a distinct memory of being up in the stands and watching you and Jimmy going at it. So it was Brownie and Jimmy going at it one-on-one for like a whole practice, just the two of them doing one-on-one drills. And Brownie ended up beating Jimmy in those drills, or a majority of those drills, to help be the last player picked on our team. So at 14 years old, going through an experience like that, which I want to ask you about, because that's like I've never seen that before and won't see that again. But also, I tell this, I get in front of so many kids all the time. I tell this story. At 14 years old, you were the last player picked on our team, and you were the player that made it the furthest. You're the only guy on our team that played in the NHL. A lot of guys played college. A lot of guys played pro in some capacity. You were the only one to play in the NHL. And in a climate today where parents kind of think if we don't have things figured out at 10, 11, 12, whatever, like their hockey career is going to be over, their kid's career. Like this is just a great story. So I want to ask you about that. Like what were your thoughts going into that tryout? And I remember you telling us about it when we had our, 20-year reunion over Zoom, when we were kind of all locked in for COVID, and you were talking about how that was actually like a sentimental time in your professional career. It was something that helped you be a pro hockey player one day, having to go through that one-day tryout and being the last player pick. So would love to hear your thoughts on this. And I think it'd be great for all the kids to hear too.
I mean, first of all, it was definitely nerve-wracking. Like nobody wants to be in that position. Like watching the whole team being picked, and then like even if you make the team or not, like you just feel like you're kind of like bottom of the barrel, which is okay. But when you're that age, you kind of feel like you're a little bit like set aside from the rest, which is okay. It doesn't matter. Within my coaching experience now, I try to tell everybody, especially from that experience, like you said, like that experience has stuck with me forever. It does not matter if you're picked last. It doesn't matter how skilled, like none of that matters. It's the determination. It's what you do with it. Now I took that situation, and that was fuel. Like that was a lot of fuel for me to want to like prove myself, and not only like prove myself, but prove everybody else, prove my team, prove to the coach, like the parents, everybody, like why do I belong here? Like I'm better than that. I'm better than you guys. Like why was I picked last? What I tell the players that I coach, my sons in particular, it doesn't matter like your skill set. It's what you do. I hear you guys talk about it all the time, role playing. Like everybody needs a certain player. If you're working hard, like my thing is if you have the work ethic, if you're going to take that work ethic beyond the ordinary, you're going to go the next level no matter what. If you're proving to not only yourself but the coaching staff or the the organization that you're willing to do what it takes, you're going to be picked. You force them you force them to not say no, is basically what you're looking at. Like when I went through that tryout, I'm forcing the coach to not deny me. That makes sense.
Do you
Totally
remember, like, did you know going into that skate on the way to the rink that was going to happen? Or did you get to the rink and Stan was like, this is what's happening? Do you remember?
Not much. I don't think I remember that's what we were like. I didn't know that's what we were going to do.
Because I was just wondering, like,
he said it.
I was just wondering if like how your parents helped you through that situation, what they said to you, something that we ask NHLers and people who made it to high level hockey all the time is, like what are the things that your dad or your mom were saying to you in the car? Because we think that stuff is so important. I mean, this situation, it's unbelievable. And I know about all the hard things that I went through, and they're the reason that I signed in the NHL is because of all those things that I thought were so hard at the time. They made me want it more. They pushed me, all these things, and I just remember you being the hardest freaking worker alive. You were never going to be denied. And I have to think that this tryout thing at 14 was absolutely pivotal, because I remember at Select 16, 2.5 years later, probably, we were all at a pool party in Wisconsin getting prepared to go up to Select 16. And you came to the party late because you went for a workout. I didn't even know what a workout was yet. And so like, I look at, well, wow, hearing that story at 14, your parents and the people around you had to have helped your mindset be like, this isn't the end of the world. Like, this is what I need to do. This is who I am. I've got to overcome this. They didn't baby you. They didn't make you feel bad about it, and it became your identity. And it's the reason you had the career you had, I have to think.
I have excellent parents. They helped me tremendously. I mean, like, mindset, willpower, all that stuff. I have to say that I do have very good self-power. Like I'm pretty good at motivating myself, like self-motivation. I can say this, and I've told a lot of people this, there's not one single shift in my not one single practice, not one single drill, not one single shift that I could say I could have worked harder. Not one. I mean, and ever since then, there's a lot of guys that say like, oh, like I could have went a little bit faster in that drill or anything. Like there's not one single time ever that I could have said that I could have went faster. I tell a lot of my players, like, again, especially my sons, that even when it comes down to a coach bag skating you in the middle of practice, let's just say the first quarter of practice, and you get bag skated, a lot of players will conserve energy so that they can be good hockey players for the rest of practice. That was not my mindset. My mindset was to hurt myself so that I was, weak for the rest of practice so that I can become stronger the next day.
Boom. And I can attest to that, like, being your teammate that year. And that was actually the only year we played a full year together. We had played against each other before that. And so we didn't really know each other. And that year we became really good friends, didn't live too far away. So we would drive to practice at different times together and things like that. And I think the coolest part, Brownie, about watching you, go through what you went through at tryouts and then come in with the work ethic that you had. And we did a lot during the summer that year, because we lived pretty tight, close to each other. We got to tell the Goberstein story about when your dog attacked him. But like the coolest part about it is that it was extremely motivating to me too. Like to see somebody who was picked last on the team and to see, just the animal that you were in the weight room and the animal that you were to get better and the speed of which you did things. Like we had no choice but to match that intensity. Because that was one of the coolest things about that team that year is we were so talented, but we were also really, really competitive with each other.
We all competed, no matter what.
Every practice was like, it was all games. Everything was a competition. Dryland was a competition.
Ice,
getting ready, everything. In the locker room, how fast was everything was a competition. And so I think probably more than anybody else on our team, elevated everybody else's abilities and work ethic because we had to keep up with you. We were all competitive by nature, and you just raised the level and you raised the standards so much for everybody else that that was infectious. It was infectious. It was contagious. And it was really, really cool, to be a part of and to see you go through that stuff, especially not knowing you as well beforehand. You made me better. You made us better. And it was a big part of the reason why we had so much success as a team that year and won a national championship was because here you are, last guy picked on the team, would not be denied. Doesn't matter who you are. Like when we go in a drill together, I think the best thing that you can do as a teammate is bring your best effort in practice. Why? Because you're making your teammates better with you. And you did that in spades. And it reminds me of the Abbotts, Cam and Chris Abbott, who I played with at Cornell. Same type of mentality, right? And they made our team so much better. And yeah, man, you made us better, dude. It was quite the year.
How many players do you see line up in a one-on-one in practice, and you see them, they look across and they see who they're going to go against, in like a racing drill or something? How many guys just kind of go back one spot in line, go back 2 spots in line because they don't want to go, like that to me is, that's false. Like you gotta go and seek the best guy out and go against him. So it's making you better.
Yeah. You know what I want to ask you with that too, Brownie, is because you look at like the trajectory of your career, you go from, that year, last player picked on the team. We had obviously a really good year winning the national championship. 2 years later, you're asked to play for the national development team. 2 years after that, you go to the University of Michigan, which anybody from Chicago, that's typically the place that we all wanted to go and play. 2 years after that, you sign your NHL contract. 2 years after that, you're a regular in the NHL. And it's amazing how little time it took in between those things. But I'm wondering too, like, there's a lot of kids out there that are the most talented and they get the NTDP or they make the right team or they get recruited to the academy or whatever. And then all of a sudden it's complacency, right? Like, it's like, oh, I kind of made it or whatever. And you never had that. Like, and I would imagine, I don't know. I would love to ask you, like, you kept climbing that ladder, CYA, NTDP, Michigan, NHL contract, NHL regular, like, there had to have been no complacency. So was there something that, like, Barry and Odd, your parents, would talk to you about with that stuff? Is that just, you talked about your internal drive? Like, so many kids nowadays feel like they made it, with a little tiny piece of making it when there's other steps to the ladder. How did you go about that process with yourself and your mindset?
When you say it like that, it sounds pretty cool. And you know what I've been doing lately is like looking back and like seeing what I actually did. And like, I have a very grateful, like very much appreciated for what I did. When I was going through it, I had one mindset. There was no other mindset. It was like I said, the one gear, the one, just the one speed. And I never got complacent. I never, like, even, at college, like I wasn't comfortable just being a college player. There was the goal of being in the NHL, and that was all I had. So even going in the minors, like, I could have went down, I could have went wherever, I could have got down to the East Coast. Like, there was only one goal in mind. And the biggest thing for me was I always wanted to, like, let the coaching staff and the organization know that I'm willing to do anything it takes to get where I want to go. And I wasn't lying. Like, if you told me to do something, I was doing it. Like, it wasn't false. I wasn't, you're going to tell me to go and run someone. I'm not going to pretend like I am. I'm going to do it.
So powerful, man. Well, let me ask you this, because I heard this story when I was at Western Mich, Jersey behind me here. What's up? Played against you once year in college. I was told that they told you were not allowed to bench press anymore because your chest was getting so big that it was affecting your stick handling. True or false?
True. Not only that. When I talk about how hard like you guys talk about how hard I worked, like when I talk about how I only had one speed, I've had a lot of coaches, like, throughout my professional career, like, tell me to slow down. What, for me, like, I wasn't reading the play. I wasn't, I wasn't really like hockey IQ smart. It was just go. Like, I was good to get on the forecheck. I'm good to get, be the F1. But then when it came time to, like, decide, F2, F3, like, where am I supposed to be? Am I the first one back in the D zone? Like, that wasn't, I wasn't prepared for that. So I had a lot of coaches help me along the way and actually tame it a bit. But as far as the workout, yes, I did get pretty big. Like, when you guys talk about before, like, when guys were going out and and doing like regular life stuff, I was in my room, I was bagging myself by myself. I was drawing bike programs. I was doing workouts on my bed. Like, I was doing some crazy stuff that nobody knew I was doing, but I just felt so good and, like, knew I was getting so much stronger than anyone else. Like, because you got team workouts, you got stuff like that. But when I went home, like, I was till like midnight, whatever, like through the middle of the night, holding my breath, whatever, like, just doing stuff to compete with myself to get stronger.
So let me ask you about that. Cause, like, honestly, like, I looked up to you a lot, Brownie, from afar, even though we're the same age. Cause I honestly looked at myself as kind of a poor man's Mike Brown. Like, seriously, I remember coming to practice with you guys that CYA year, because I always came in town for Christmas to be with Topher and our family. And I remember it being the hardest and most fun and most challenging practice that probably to this day that I ever had. And I was like, oh my God, these guys.
It was just a Thursday for us.
Yeah. It was probably a day off for you guys. And I was like, this is wild. I've never seen anything like this in my life. And I was a very similar player to you without the being able to fight that well. But very similar. I was in my dorm room. I was in my apartment while everybody else was drinking in the kitchen. I was literally in my room with dumbbells that I went and bought from Play It Again Sports, ripping workouts by myself because I have the exact same goal. No matter what, I will do anything I can to get to the NHL. And for me, being a poor man's Mike Brown, fast, not the highest hockey IQ, things like that, but would do anything to help the team and things like that. I gained so much confidence from not leaving anything on the table. And that's why I tell players that are young, if you want something, you go 1,000,000 miles an hour at it. It doesn't matter how lofty that goal is, because what I can look back now in hindsight that I'm 40 years old, like I'm successful in my business now and help so many players because of all the things I learned along the way. Even though I didn't have the NHL career you had, I still had a great pro career. And now I'm able to help so many players because of the way that I lived. And a big part of that was the confidence that I gained from always trying to do more than everybody else and give more to myself. So when you talk about the extra stuff that you were doing, how important do you think that was for your confidence just to play at these high levels?
You talk about confidence and training and all this stuff, like from what I did and from what you talk about what you did, I can honestly say, and I don't know, it's not being cocky or whatnot, but I can honestly say that if I was in a race with anyone on the ice, that I knew I had the power to win any race. And that was the confidence that it gave me, was just knowing that I could do this. No question. Like I knew that with my training, with my power, that I knew if I had to, put us both on the goal line, go from goal line to goal line, I'm going to get to that goal line first, no matter what.
And I'm sure like puck battles, like I remember my first year juniors, because I was later than you getting into kind of like living this way. It didn't I started that path, but I really got there when I got injured at 17, my first year in the USHL. And after missing 93 straight days, I worked out 7 days a week. I came back and I had more confidence on the ice than I had ever had, where the first 3-4 months of the USHL season, I would go into the corner with 20-year-olds and I was scared. No doubt about it. I can say that. But after that, even though I still at that point wasn't as strong as the older guys, the bigger guys, I had this like innate confidence that allowed me to go into the corner and battle because I believed in the work that I had done. And that alone allowed me to play bigger and better than I currently was. And like, I'm sure it's why you do what you do now, helping players, with your gyms and with your training. And it's why I do what I do now. And it's just such a massive piece of earning your confidence, whether that's skill work, video work. I think the more things you can do as a young player to better yourself in different verticals, you just gain more confidence, which allows you to be more assertive on the ice,
If you go back to my the U.S. development team, when I got there, 16 years old, the same thing that you talk about playing against the older guys. When we started doing boxing class, when we were lifting, I was already lifting heavy weights, but doing a little bit more Olympic lifting and stuff like that. Going in and playing against those, and not only playing against them, but having to start fighting, because they want to, everybody wants a piece of the U.S. kids, so whatever. I was confident, I was comfortable, minus my first fight. My first fight didn't go so well. I forgot who it was, but I was maybe a little just whatever, too comfortable or something. But from there, I learned my lesson and started training a little bit more. But that confidence of the training and the off ice and what you're doing is ultimately what gives you that confidence to play at a higher level against bigger players.
Well, I think all of us, our first fights probably didn't go as we had planned, but so that's okay. But you know what it reminds me of, guys? I don't know if you've seen the movie Seabiscuit, the horse that won the Triple Crown however many years ago, but one of the lines really stuck with me, and that was the trainer, the jockey, I can't remember who it was, but it was the trainer told the jockey, all you got to do is make sure that Seabiscuit is even with the other horse, going into the home stretch, because as soon as Seabiscuit looks at that horse eye to eye, he knows that he's going to win. And he knows that he has put in the time, the work, whatever it was, the movie line, I can't remember, but it was like, it's all mental at that point. And that's what we're talking about here. Like both you guys, I would throw myself in there and maybe a same but different capacity. Like I always had to be the hardest worker, but it was because I was 5'4", but with that, like that competitiveness that we have with ourselves and then with other people on how hard we work, it 100% gives you the confidence to look eye to eye with that person that you're going into battle with and know that you're going to beat them. And you might not beat them every time. You're never going to be 100% on that stuff, but like you're going to give it everything you have, and you're going to have that confidence based on the work that you've put into it. And I think, Vex, we talk about a lot. You got to earn your confidence. And the higher your work ethic is, the more confidence you're going to earn as you go along your journey. And Brownie, I think you're just such the epitome of that as you went through yours. And I think it's a valuable lesson for all the kids that are listening to this right now, right? Like it's about the process. It's about competition. It's about compete. It's about just giving everything that you have. And that's the other thing too, Vex, you say it all the time. Like
I was just going to say, Vex says it all the time. He's all about competing in the gym, competing in life. You like anything you do, it's a competition. That's what gets you better. Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing too is like, how unbelievably like freeing is it just from a mental standpoint to give everything that you have into something, to put every fiber of your being into a dream, into a goal. We're talking about a guy, Mikey Brown, who while everybody else was out doing their thing, he's doing push-ups and stuff in his dorm room and drawing up workouts on his bed. We got Vex, who's eating deli meat at the bar, because everybody else is drinking. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that, but that's ultimately what it takes. There are very, very few people, for all the kids that are listening, there are very few people that can make it on talent alone. There's a few. Brownie, you played in the NHL. There are some players that are playing in the NHL that don't really like hockey. They're just really, really good at it. That's a very, very small, minute type of person. For 99% of people that end up making it, there's an insatiable work ethic and a want to be able to best. There are so many players that when I look back, there are so many players that were better hockey players than me, like just more skilled. Like, and I look in and I'm like, how? And then I'm sure they did too. But this is the number one thing is, a lot of players will pay attention to other players too much rather than themselves. And you know what? Like just because I'm doing better or I get somewhere doesn't mean that you need to look at me and then wonder like, why am I not there? Why am I there? Just focus on yourself. Like, what do I need to get there? A lot of players did that with me. And there was, like I said, there's a lot of players that were way better than me that didn't make it. And if anyone below me made it, I wasn't going to look at them and question.
And I look at that. I talk to young players about that specific thing all the time because we were lucky that there was no Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. Like the internet was just starting to be a thing and you could see who was signing, but like we would have to wait for the USA Junior Hockey Magazine to see who committed in the USHL. And so many of these players are like, oh, well, that guy got tendered or that guy got drafted. And I just tell them, you're putting yourself in a rocking chair. You're moving and you're expending energy, but you're getting nowhere. It is a waste of time. If you want to use that, if you want to see those things, use it to fuel you to work even harder, to be like, I believe I'm better than that guy and he got it, which proves that I can get it. I'm going to continue on this path and work my nuts off and find a way to get it. And I look at, the second year I was healthy at NHL camp and I won testing for the Bruins and I scored 2 goals in preseason against the Panthers. We lost 3-2 and they took a first year pro over to Europe to start the season. And all I did was, why me? Why did they take him over me? And I was like, I played awful 20 games. I got traded, like literally. And it's the biggest regret and mistake of my career looking back, that up until that point, the way that I got there was focusing on me, getting myself better. And the one time I lost sight of that, it really, really affected my game. I was awful in the American League. And it's just so important, young players and coaches that are listening to this, to always bring the focus back to me. What can I do right now to make my situation better? Because looking at other people does not make you better. Getting upset that someone else is where you want to be does not make you better. And you're hearing it from a guy who played, how many games did you play in the NHL? Do you know?
Just over 400.
Not a big deal.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not so secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
The secret is out. With millions of younger-looking customers across the country, Plexiderm is one of the most highly sought-after products on the market. It visibly shrinks under-eye bags and smooths out crow's feet in minutes, and the effects last up to 10 hours. Influencers love it, magazines feature it, and people just can't get enough of it. As a matter of fact, Elle Magazine gave it an Editor's Choice Award as Best Instant Wrinkle Filler for 2025. In as little as 10 minutes, Plexiderm reduces the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and those dreaded under-eye bags. So yes, you can look years younger in minutes, and the effects last for hours. No surgery, no gimmicks, just results. The best news, you can try Plexiderm for only $14.95. Plus, get free shipping. Don't wait. Order Plexiderm today. Visit plexiderm.com/special. That's plexiderm.com/special. Paid for by Sheer Science.
I got a funny draft story, or at the draft. So I wasn't even really like ranked or anything. I wasn't really supposed to be drafted, or maybe just really late. I don't remember what it was, but this goes to like, I didn't really care. I didn't really know, but my family decided to go to the draft, and I went to the draft, and I'm just, I'm there just like everyone else, watching everybody be drafted. Well, actually, let's rewind a second. Before the draft, how players can get a call from a team, from NHL teams. You can go in their suite. You can kind of like get a one-on. It's like a one-on, like whatever, the whole organization, like the whole staff. You got like 20 or 30 guys that are in a suite, and you just kind of go in there. They can interview you. I never got any interview, but my dad. Well, I wasn't asked for an interview, but my dad found an interview, or it was Neil Abbott, my agent. He got an interview with Washington Capitals. I think it was from Steve Richmond. And the only thing my dad says is, he goes, when you go to the meeting, you're knocking on the door, take your, we're all in suits, like you're in suit and tie and stuff. So he goes, take your whole suit off, take the suit jacket off, take your collared shirt off, go in there with no shirt, and just kind of, like give him like one of these things. And so I remember like getting up to the door, I take my top off, I'm shirtless. No. I get in the room and I'm standing there, and there's the whole organization, the whole staff, and they're all looking at me like, and I get in there, I'm like, and the whole staff's looking at me like, what are you doing? And I remember Steve Richmond looking at me like, where's your shirt? Like, where?
Come on. That's a true story.
Swear to God. So I'm like awkwardly like standing there without a shirt on, and then he's like, all right, put your clothes on. So I put my shirt on. I go to sit down, and it's just literally the whole organization's staring at me, and he starts going, they're like, all right, so they start asking me a couple of questions. I'm nervous as can be, like completely nervous, like stumbling my words, everything. It was the funniest thing ever. I never got drafted to them, but I'm sure there's probably a funny story somewhere.
Wow.
But anyway, the point of that is I ended up being drafted in the fifth round, and which was like a shock to me, an absolute shock to me, but to Vancouver, not to Washington.
Dude, that might be the all-time greatest draft story that's ever been told.
All time. Oh my God. I could just see like Chippendales, where it's Patrick Swayze next to Chris Farley. Like
I mean, I was big too. Like I was big. I was jacked.
Yeah.
It was a strong suit. Like it was a strong suit. My dad wasn't wrong. He's like, you know what? Go in and show him what you're good at. Like, I don't know. All right. Well, here.
Hey, unbelievable. Think about the balls and the belief in yourself, though. You're probably 17, 18 years old to do that.
Right.
That, I mean, that just epitomized you. You said, I will do anything to make it.
Yeah.
You popped your tarp and went into that meeting.
Vex is a little jealous right now. Vex is like, I should have done that, or I would have been drafted.
Honestly, at least been a male model.
Can you imagine being on the staff and some kid comes in and does that?
Oh,
no.
I would love it.
Yeah, I love it. Like
I'd be like, wow, this kid would do anything to make it, because who would possibly, like, I'm sweating thinking about you doing that right now. Like, unbelievable. Wow,
dude,
best story I think ever told on this podcast.
That's I think it is. That's incredible. Brownie, wow, that's awesome. And I'm thinking of Barry right now too. Just
you know what, though, that's just one. I got so many stupid, but you know what, like, it was worth it, you know. Like, you look back, it's like we talk about, like, no regrets, you know. Like, you gotta lay it on the line. You don't want to look back and say, like, why didn't I do that? Why you know, like, I should have done this, I should have done that.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, you're so right. Like, there's so many people, myself included, I'll throw my hands up, that just wait for, like, perfection to do anything, or, you know, you're afraid to take the first step forward because you're going to look like an idiot or look bad, or you're going to fail or whatever. When really, like, success is just continuing to keep taking action, just keep going, just don't be satisfied, keep going. Whether you end up achieving a goal, okay, good, keep going. Whether you get knocked down a peg or two, good, keep going. And just not being afraid, being comfortable with who you are, being comfortable in your skin, and just living your life to the best of your ability, man. And you did that in spades. And I'm wondering, like, as you continued to kind of go, you know, from each step, you know, talking about NTDP to Michigan into pro hockey and everything like that, what were some of the biggest things that you learned? Because, you know, at Michigan, you're playing with some unbelievable players that went and then keep going. What are some of the things you learned from some of the players that you were fortunate enough to play with at those times?
Well, here, you can even go on what you were just talking about, is like, you know, not giving up and not taking a step backwards is how many times, like, well, at least what I saw is, you know, like, getting scratched. And you get scratched, it's what you do. I've seen so many guys get scratched and then, you know, have a hissy fit and you know, like, raise all these problems where, you know, like, instead of just thinking to yourself, like, what can I do to get back in? Like, what can I do to be a factor in the lineup, and not like point the finger and blame someone else. And I saw it a lot, like, with a lot of guys, and they just went down. You know, like, no team wants to deal with that. You know, like, you come in the locker room and you get out, you come in after warmups and you don't know who's playing, and you might be a bubble guy, and the coach comes in and says you're scratched, you know, like, deal with it.
So what did that mean? Take us through that, because I think one of the hardest things that I work with a lot of junior age players in the gym and stuff like that. And you're probably going to get scratched your first year. You've probably never been scratched. You've always been the guy. So what was your mindset like when you would be scratched? Like, what would you do?
First of all, you don't raise a problem. You know, like, you can ask questions. What can I do to be better? You know, what do you want me to do better? But the second you put the sad face and you put any kind of a negative feeling or a negative vibe to the team or anyone, like, that's a cancer. Nobody wants that. So, like, getting scratched, not putting a smile on your face, but you know, having your head up and keeping a positive attitude, and then getting right back at it. Not only getting back at it, but getting back at it stronger, and proving to the coach, proving to the staff that that's you belong out there.
So what did that mean? How would you do that?
Well, it's next practice. I'm going, you know, like, for me, I wasn't, it was just because they wanted someone else in the lineup. Like, I couldn't say that I wasn't working hard enough to be not in the lineup. So I never really had the feeling like I'm not working hard enough, you can't play me. It's just they had different teams, you know, like, you're playing against, like, let's just say, for example, we're playing against the Detroit Red Wings, and it's a skilled lineup. Like, they thought, at least, if I got scratched, it was because they wanted to go with the skilled lineup. They thought a different player. That's still it's not gonna hurt me. It's not gonna, you know, like, do I want to play? Yes. You know, like, do I feel like I can contribute? Yes. But I'm just gonna hold that in. I'm not gonna make it known that I'm pissed or put anyone else down. I'm going to be pissed myself, you know, and it's not like I'm going to go into practice the next day and go and two-hand someone or go and run someone through the boards because they're my team. But I'm going to, you know, show them that I'm not backing down. I still have a good attitude, and I'm coming in and I'm here to work. I've seen it a lot the other way. Guys come in, sour attitude, head down, thinking the world's done, the world's over. Why you guys pissed at me? I'm pissed at you now. And you know what that does? That's going to put you all the way down.
Played with a lot of those guys in the East Coast Hockey League, Brownie. A lot of those guys. They had the talent to be in the NHL.
I mean, I've seen guys like what I was talking about, like after warmups, like they come in, like you're sitting there, you don't know who's playing. It's a hard situation to be in, a fourth line guy where you're planning to play, you're prepared to play, your heart rate's up, and then the coach comes in and says you're not in. You're like, it's hard, but it's also hard the other way. You don't think you're going to play, and then the coach says you're going to play. But I've seen guys freaking throw their gloves on the floor and throw their helmet in their stall, like, oh, why am I not playing? And meanwhile, the whole team is getting ready to go out for first period. What's that showing your teammates? Terrible. Nobody wants that guy around.
Yeah. Well, you got the opportunity to play, obviously at the highest level, Brownie, and play with some amazing players. We're really big on mentorship here. We're really big on, welcoming new guys into the team, into the community and things like that. When you started playing in Vancouver, you get traded to some of these other teams. Who are some players that you got to play with that were just like the ultimate teammates, just the best guys like that were, whether it was welcoming you into the new team, whether it was taking a young guy aside, whether it was just a great leader. Who are some guys that you played with at the NHL level that were just above and beyond from a leader standpoint?
There are so many. I'm going to give you one. That's Joe Thornton, Jumbo. He's my favorite. He's the best teammate, best captain I can say. But I've honestly played with some legends. Like I played with some really good mentors. Like I can't even begin to list them out. I started with Marcus Naslund as my captain in Vancouver. I had Getzlaff. We had a Niedermeyer, Pronger, all these guys in Anaheim that were I think we had 5 guys on the team in Anaheim that got their 1,000th game the year that I got there. Like it was so veteran. It was crazy. Like, playing in San Jose, there's Marlowe, Joe Thornton, there's just the list goes. I go to Edmonton, it was all first round draft picks. I'm the veteran guy there, but not in a way. Toronto.
How was that in Edmonton? You get all these guys who are just young and super skilled, and you're a fourth line guy, but you're a veteran guy. How was your role in the locker room different in that scenario than the others?
No, I mean, my role was always the same. My role as a leader was my work ethic. Like you said right in the beginning of the podcast, like that was the way I was. I'm a good team guy. I'm going to support everybody. I got everyone's back. Like I'm here to do what I need to do. I'm here to work my ass off in practice. Sorry if I can't say that, but I'm going to be that guy like Topher, like you said, to bring the compete level up no matter what, practice, whatever we're doing, and that's how that's what I did. No matter which locker room I was in. Edmonton, I wasn't there that long, and I was brought in to protect the younger guys. I mean, I'm sure there's some other guys that they could have brought in, but I think I was available at the time. So it was a different kind of a role. Like, like these guys are going to be running around trying to score. I didn't really like it that much because there was too much of that, like I'm too good for everything. And you can feel that in the locker room. So that's not really my style, like come in after, I'm not going to mention names, but you come in after like an 8-1 win, and you got some guys with their head down because they didn't score, because it's a competition of like which first round is better than the other. And like, that's what you're going to come in with. Like that. I don't really agree with that. So it was a different mindset.
Yeah.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
The secret is out. With millions of younger-looking customers across the country, Plexiderm is one of the most highly sought-after products on the market. It visibly shrinks under eye bags and smooths out crow's feet in minutes, and the effects last up to 10 hours. Influencers love it, magazines feature it, and people just can't get enough of it. As a matter of fact, Elle Magazine gave it an Editor's Choice Award as Best Instant Wrinkle Filler for 2025. In as little as 10 minutes, Plexiderm reduces the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and those dreaded under-eye bags. So yes, you can look years younger in minutes, and the effects last for hours. No surgery, no gimmicks, just results. The best news, you can try Plexiderm for only $14.95. Plus, get free shipping. Don't wait. Order Plexiderm today. Visit plexiderm.com/special. That's plexiderm.com/special. Paid for by Sheer Science.
Well, let's go to Anaheim, because you mentioned you had all those play. We've actually had Chris Pronger on the podcast. Absolute beauty. It was so much fun talking to him. Yeah, and you talk about the ultimate competitor. You guys I can't even imagine, now that I think the two of you going in like a one-on-one battle drill, like somebody was probably going to get hurt coming out of that.
I don't know how he didn't. You know what, Pronger? I love Pronger. You know what? I got to Anaheim. When I got to Anaheim, I had basically 2.5 years in Vancouver, because I was on the roster, but I didn't play that much. I think it was like 20-something games my first year and 20-something the next year, and got traded to Anaheim. So they considered me like technically still a rookie in a way, because I didn't have a full like roster, whatever it was, like a full season. And so I get there, and you had a couple other rookies, and their deal there was like everybody's got to sit on the bus until all the vets get off, and then the rookies can get off the bus. And the first time I'm there, I'm kind of like, am I not? Like, what do I do? You know, and Pronger's the last one off the bus, and he's getting through, and he's yelling at all the rookies to sit down. And I'm waiting there, and he looks at me, he's like, get up. What are you doing? Get off the bus. Like, get out of here. What are you sitting down for? And so right then and there, I was like, okay, all right. You know, and I became pretty close with Prongs, and he's, you know what, he talks about it all the time. Like his compete level is just through the roof. Like he's just a competitor, you know, and that was practice, like just cross-checking and two-hand, like in his era before, you know, I think we both played in the two different eras of, you know, like that kind of grabbing and rough, tough kind of era, and then more of the skating and no stick work era. So it was fun to practice with that guy, man. Like, I mean, I was always the guy who the team sent as the first guy to ruin a drill, because honestly, I would do it at such a fast pace that you couldn't complain if I did it wrong. And everybody knew that. So even if I'm doing it wrong, you can't, like, the coach isn't going to yell at me because I'm doing it 1,000 miles an hour, you know, and maybe I'll make it look like I messed up because I was going too fast. And then it would give the coach the opportunity to redraw the drill. And now everyone's like, okay, now we got it. Thanks, Brownie.
Just a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
Yes, totally.
But you were telling us a little bit earlier, so you know you're close to 800 penalty minutes. You know, you were a guy to protect the other players on the team, step up in that capacity, and you know, so much respect for anybody that puts their body on the line to be able to do that. But you're talking about in Anaheim walking in after you get traded, and what was it, 5 players you had fought on the Anaheim Ducks when you get into the locker room? So what is that like, you know, in the role that you play, and then you know you get traded to another team, and there's guys that you fought in there probably multiple times. What was that like for you?
So first of all, coming from Vancouver, we played Anaheim all the time. They were in our conference, and that was when, you know, you played your own conference a bunch of times. The games that I played in were always the tough games, you know, and Anaheim was one of them. So I had a handful of fights against Anaheim in the 2 years I was in Vancouver. This is my first trade, and so I've never been traded before. I don't know what it's like. I don't know, you know, like, are guys mad at me? Like, what? I have no idea what to expect. I don't know the deal. And the team was on the road, and I get traded to Anaheim, and I meet the team in a hotel, and they have a team stretch in a conference room. And I'm told to like go meet the team in a conference room. And on the way, I'm just like sweating. I'm like full sweat, like not hard for me to sweat, but I'm like full sweat walking in this room, like terrified. Are they all going to jump me? Like, I don't even know. Are they all going to hate me? And I open the door, and they all just open arms, like so glad you're on our team. So glad you're on our side. Like all the guys that I'd fought, like literally came straight up to me. They're like, so glad to have you on our side. Like, this is awesome. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So it was amazing ever since then.
That's really cool. I have to admit, was Brian Burke the GM that traded for you?
He was.
So I have a really good Brian Burke story, and this just kind of goes to show you the type of man that he is. So I was a graduate assistant at Miami of Ohio, and this was in like 2010, 2011, right around then. And the year prior to me getting there was the year that his son passed away in a car accident. And obviously extremely tragic, nobody ever wants to go through anything like that. And the next year, on the anniversary of Brendan, his son's death, we had a game at Miami, and the whole family came in and commemorated Brendan's life. And it was just a really touching, incredible kind of moment and day. I never got the opportunity to meet Brendan, but everything that I heard, like this kid was just like the greatest kid ever, just an unbelievable person. And then, a couple weeks later, a month later, whatever it was, I remember going into my office at the rink after one of my classes, and there's a note or like an envelope, that's on my desk, and it's got, I think it was Maple Leafs. It's got Maple Leafs. I think he had by then become the GM of the Maple Leafs, and there was a handwritten note from Brian Burke to me, the graduate assistant coach, nobody, saying basically, thank you for being there for me and my family during a really tough time, and I'll never forget that because, Brian Burke is a guy that is, polarizing, let's say, in the hockey community, but most people, if not all people that know the game is like, this dude, like there's a reason why he's one of the best GMs of all time. And I'll just never forget getting that handwritten note as a nobody graduate assistant coach from a GM and one of the most powerful people in hockey, just saying, thank you for being there during a tough time for me. Like, I was like floored. I'm like, this is why this guy's the best. I'll never forget that, man. So cool.
Brian Burke is the best. I actually had him with 3 teams. Yeah, Vancouver, Anaheim, Toronto.
No kidding.
He was gone out of no. I might be saying that wrong. Yeah, I think so. He was. I want to say he was part of all 3 of those.
Well, you're his kind of guy, that's for sure.
He was awesome stand-up guy.
Yeah. I'll never forget that. But yeah, that story about Pronger, I still, like, I'm trying to think, like, you and him in a one-on-one battle drill, like, it's a fight to the death. Like, nobody's
but you know what? I'm the type of player that I don't care. That's what I was saying, is who's the guy that's going to look across, that's going to look across and say, you know what? And everyone else is going to be going back. And you know what? I'll go up there. I'll go against him. I don't care.
Yeah. I just texted Prongs a picture of you saying you're on our show, and he said, Fredo, what a great dude. Tell him I said happy New Year.
Oh gosh. What a guy, man.
Yeah.
He's such an animal.
Yeah. You know what's funny is it's so funny that you brought up that story about rookies getting off the bus. He just made an Instagram post about that like last week. Like, if you're young in a company or on a team, you wait till everybody else eats.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he was ruthless.
but like that.
I got lucky. I was not considered a rookie.
But towards the end of my career, that kind of stopped being a thing on some of the teams that I played on, unless I said something. Because I was like, when I got to the AHL, I waited. When I was in college, I waited as a freshman. You respect the guys who've been here longer and have been at this level longer and things like that. And unfortunately, I think the game has lost that a little bit with kind of like the selfish attitude and the difference in how kids are brought up from little kids all the way up to the higher levels. And I think it has changed the game a little bit, honestly, for the worse.
I mean, he was probably the only one out of all my teams that really took a stand into that. Really? There's nobody else that really took, major concern over rookies being, there's little things here and there, like what you have to do and what you have to wait on and stuff like that. But he was the extreme.
I think the best that I've heard kind of put this experience into perspective as it comes to like rookie and vets was Shafe, who I played for and worked with at Cornell, 30 years, one of the top, coaches in college hockey history. And it was, for him, it was always, as a rookie, you're not expected to pick up the pucks. Like, everybody's going to pick up the pucks, but as a rookie, pick up the pucks. you know, where it's like, everybody's the same, there's no senior, junior, we're all teammates and things like that, but earn your stripes.
But you're a rookie.
Yeah, but earn your stripes, and you got to do that on your own. It's not a rule, right? Like you're not expected to do it. It's not a rule, but do it kind of thing.
That's the stuff, that's the stuff that goes a long way that people don't know. And you know what, the more proper you are, and the more things that you do like that, that's going to take you longer.
Yeah, totally. Well, Brownie, I mean, you got two boys that are playing now in youth hockey, and you're seeing things from a whole different level now. And I know all the things that we're talking about on the podcast right now are things that, by the way that you live, you don't even probably need to say anything, but just by the way that you live, you are trickling down into the players that you're coaching. What are some of the things, seeing what you're seeing, both of your kids are playing Tier 1 hockey coming up through Chicago, knowing what you went through and the journey that you had, like, if you had any advice for some kids that are coming up right now, being a dad, of two kids that are coming up into it, what would some advice be to some of these kids that have similar dreams that you did at that same age?
Number one, be coachable. That's probably the number one thing. If you're a kid that doesn't listen, or you go in the car and you want to hear your parents tell you that you're the best, but you don't want to listen to the coach and you don't want to be coachable, like, goodbye. Like, work hard, work as hard as you possibly can, but be coachable. It's like, it's two separate things. You gotta come in with a mindset that you're gonna, that you're willing to put the time in, that you're gonna listen, that you're gonna learn. You're not gonna make the same mistake over and over. That's the part of being coachable. If you're making the same mistake over and over, you're not listening. And a lot of players get passed up because who wants to continue to say the same thing over and over with someone that's not absorbing it or trying to do something better. For me, that's what I'm teaching these kids is number one, coachable, work ethic, come be a good teammate. It's a huge factor. You can't be, like I talk about, being a cancer on a team, being a guy who gets scratched and then they're going to complain. Like, these are things that if you want to make it. And I guess the thing is, like, you got to ask, where do you want to go? What's your ultimate goal? Do you want to go to the NHL? Do you want to go to the AHL? Do you want to play college? What level of college? Do you want to just play juniors? So those are all, like, realistic factors on what you're, on how you're gonna ultimately coach this player. And I teach kids how to be a professional, how to get to the top level. I'm not doing it half speed. I'm telling you exactly what you need to do to get here. You might not like it. It might not be easy, but if you listen and if you do this day in, day out, shift in, every drill, everything, you got a pretty good chance of getting to the next level. And the goal is to keep getting to the next level. Like you said, keep going and keep going. If you're not, you're probably going to get stuck. You're probably going to plateau, and then you're going to get passed up. The other guy behind you is going to be working harder. The coach is going to look at him. He's going to say, this kid works harder. He might be a little bit, other kid might be a little bit more skilled, but you know what? I'm going to go with the kid that's going to work harder. He's going to listen to what I have to say. He's going to become a better player. He might not be right now, but he's going to become a better player.
I think one of the most important things, this is episode 400. All right. Toph and I have been doing this, 7 years? This is 7 years now, Toph. I think one of the most important things anyone has ever said on the podcast, and I think it might be the first time a guest has ever said it, is you said something like, I wasn't saving myself for later in practice. Right. As somebody who's trained thousands of players in person now, the kids who constantly ask me, what's next? What's next? What's next? And they're asking me because they want to know how much energy they should put out in this drill so that they can win the last drill. Those are the kids unless I'm able to coach that out of them, which hopefully I can, I know they're not going anywhere because they're not giving it their all. And the 100%. Kids who do what you did and lived in a way that you did, whatever's in front of me right now, I'm going to run over it. I'm going to run around it. I'm going to run through it. And then whatever's next, I'm going to do that the same way. That's how you truly get better. That's how you build the engine. That's how you build mental toughness. And it's that piece right there is why you are who you are and why you had the career you had. And I hope all young players understand the value and how important that is. Don't save yourself.
It's not easy. No one said it's easy, but if you want to get something, you gotta go through the gauntlet. You know,
Yeah.
like you're gonna be out of breath. Your legs are gonna be done. It's gonna feel like you can't even move. But you know what? It's what it's gonna take.
100%. And I'll go even a step further as a former college recruiter, you know, somebody that recruited at the Division I level and evaluated talent. That coachability piece and the things that you guys are talking about right now is what every coach is looking for. And they salivate when they can find a kid that has the type of mentality that you're talking about. Because one of the things we always used to say was our best recruits actually are not our freshmen. Our best recruits at the college level is how much better is a sophomore than they were their freshman year. How much better is a junior than they were their sophomore? How much better is a senior than they were their junior year? Like if we have, let's call it a 5-star recruit, I don't even know, like whatever, like a high-end type of recruit, but they're the same player as a senior as they were as a freshman. That's a big mistake. That is a mistake. And we did not do our due diligence on the character, work ethic side of things that we're talking about right now. But I'll take a kid, you know, that might have a little bit less talent, but has that insatiable work ethic and has that coachability, and the coach like just raves about them, because as a senior, I guarantee that player is going to be better than the more talented player that doesn't have the work ethic. And to win a championship, you need to have a great senior class and a great junior class, great leadership, not just from a playing perspective, but from an example of what they're going to show the younger guys, so the younger guys can have that work ethic too. And it sets the standard for everybody else. And so like this coachability piece that Brownie's talking about, and Vex, you like with the work ethic and things like that, like that is something that if you are a 10 out of 10 on that, I promise you will be way more appealing to the scouts and the coaches that are going to be watching your games. And I used to call it the daddy-daughter test. Because I would have a conversation with a coach. And if that coach told me from a character standpoint that, man, this is a kid that I would let date my daughter, you know, because they work and they're great teammates and they're leaders, I would be like, okay, like now we're talking. Let's like, I would get very, very excited, and so do other coaches, right? And it's all encompassing, man. And Brownie, you live life this way. Vex, you say it all the time. How you do anything is how you do everything. And you cannot just turn it on and off when the lights are on when you're playing the games. You know, we're talking about Brownie, a guy, like I said earlier, who was doing workouts in his dorm room while everybody else was partying. Vex eating deli meat at the bar while everybody else was taking shots. You know,
apparently Brownie was holding his breath. I don't know if you guys heard him say I was holding my breath.
You caught that. You caught that.
I didn't know what was going on with that, but
you never done that?
Just holding my breath?
Oh yeah, compete, man. Compete with yourself. I thought you'd be doing that.
So did you compete like, okay, I held my breath for 38 seconds. Now
no, I tell myself I have to hold it for a certain amount of time, or I got to do it. Like, got to do it. I don't care. It's got. Yeah.
I'm just seeing you in your dorm room in a mirror, shirt off, chicken hat on thing that you wear on Instagram, holding your breath.
Oh yeah, underwater, you name it, whatever. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Love it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, sometimes it was kind of dangerous, but I'm out. There's no way. I never failed.
You're still here.
I was gonna say you won every time, and you're still alive. So that's a double plus. I like it. Well, Brownie, we've had you for about an hour here, dude. Appreciate it so much. Honestly, like I'm sitting here and hearing you tell some stories and talk about your journey, and I'm like, oh my God, kids need to hear that. Oh my God, kids need to hear that. Oh my God, kids need to hear that. Like 18 times in this entire episode. Actually, 18. That was the number you wore back in the day, too.
18.
There we go. Yeah. But thank you so much. If you got a couple more minutes, we're going to keep you for our 10 questions that's housed in the Hockey Think Tank University, Hockey Think Tank U community. But man, 400 episodes, Vex. This is one of the best we've had. This was an absolute pleasure. One of my favorite teammates of all time. So good to be able to reconnect later in life and do these kinds of things. And man, so much respect for what you do, and keep up the great work and molding young minds now as a youth hockey coach.
Guys, congrats on 400. Congrats with this podcast. You guys are doing a great job. Round of applause to you guys. Awesome. Awesome being on here.
Appreciate it, Brown. And also, I should say, two of the best hockey parents of all time, too. Barry Brown, Audrey Brown. Audrey, you know I love you.
We never touched on that I got the privilege to coach with your dad.
Oh, well, go ahead.
Yeah.
What was coaching with Bobby Scott like?
Yeah, it was, you know what? It was like a blast from the past, but on the other side.
Yeah, because he was our assistant coach that year.
Well, I forgot I forgot to connect the dots because I got to hear a lot of Stan stories from the coaching side by coaching with your dad, and him saying how much he had to actually, like help with guys not wanting to kill Stan. when he would pull his 3-on-5 and half of us doing dry land and stuff, like the other coach wanted to come over and strangle him, and Bobby had to be the guy that kind of, hey, no, he's just Russian. He's just, this is for us. It's not for you.
So we should actually tell a few Stan stories here. We got it. Yeah. Like, some of the things that we did.
Well, so I got to, and Stan was in our organization too with Guys Dog. So I got both of them. Michael guys.
So for everybody listening, we've probably told this before, but like our team was good. Like our team was.
And we forgot to go.
That's an understatement. All right. Yeah. I played against you, and the third period, you played without a goalie and half the team working out in the stands while I watched, and you still couldn't touch the puck.
Right? As a coach, I can't even imagine playing against a team like that and them doing what we did. I just can't.
Imagine being 14-year-old kid getting blasted 7-0.
For all the listeners out there, again, Stan would absolutely get sued or beat up for this nowadays, and that was probably where my dad stepped in to make sure Stan didn't get beat up. The other
I mean, we were doing somersaults on the ice if we didn't connect on a pass. Like if during
a game,
if we didn't make the backhand pass instead of the forehand pass, or make 3 passes before a goal, you had to do a somersault during the game on the ice during play.
We would do games. So we played full games without a goalie. We played full games shorthanded, 5-on-4. Like we had 4, they had 5. We had games where, we had 3 lines of forwards and 5D. And so in the first period, 2 lines and 3D would play, while the other line and the other D would be doing dry land, doing running and stairs and duck walks and all that stuff. And then in the second period, that line would come down and get their equipment on. Another line would get off and go do dry land for the second period. Yeah, man, we did some crazy stuff. But I will say, one of the coolest parts, Brownie. So when we did our 20-year reunion a few years ago on Zoom from winning the national championship, one of the coolest things that I took out of that, as we were all kind of reminiscing about that year, was, and we've talked about it a lot already on this podcast, but just how incredibly competitive our practices were. Our practices were an all-out war, so much fun. Like we played, I mean, this was pre everybody playing small area games. Now it's a lot more, mainstream, but like I feel like that's all we did. All we did was like competitions and compete, all practice, know?
Yeah, and, I mean, it was like you said, it was on and off the ice. I mean, we would run like mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, whatever it was. We were always competing.
Yeah, soccer, right? Like our warm-ups,
soccer, everything.
Were all like races and relay races and playing like handball and soccer, 3-on-3.
Everybody wanted to win. Everybody wanted to win.
Yeah, that was the cool. We made each other, like, of any other year probably that I've ever played hockey. Like we made each other so much better just from those practices. So cool. Yeah. So cool. All right, man. Well, awesome reminiscing with you. We'll keep you here for the 10 questions. If you are not a part of Hockey Think Tank UNet, go to htttu.thehockeythinktank.com. And with all of our podcast guests, we do have fun 10 questions afterwards. So Brownie, dude, thank you so much for your time. This was an all-timer episode. Couldn't have asked for a better 400, man. Appreciate your time.
Of course, guys. Awesome being here. Thanks for having me on.
The jaw-dropping moments that make hockey hockey. Experience them all with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Missouri listeners, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in the Show Me State. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly.
on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Pass-through of per wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Copyright NHL 2025. All rights reserved.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.